are not problems.
The issue is that number one shouldn't be on the list. That's the problem. Number one shouldn't make the list. Like, to not have Shawn Michaels, to not have Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Undertaker, Andre the Giant.
Listen.
Drinking old dudes who didn't drink alcohol. The beer truck was the all-time moment on Monday Night Raw.
Look at how mad he is. He takes this personally.
The great thing about wrestling is it is subjective and you get to pick your favorites in your top 5. There's no definitive answer at number 1 through 5. With that being said, Goldberg on the list is crazy, let alone being number 1. Terrible take. I have no problem with Ric Flair 2, Hogan 3, Rock 4, and he put a tag team Road Warriors at 5. But that was a horrendous list. Let's talk about my list. Before I show off my list, I want to do some honorable mentions. I want to say Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was one of the greatest. The only reason I don't have him in there is he didn't win that many championships, world championships, and so that's the only reason. And I know he put on spectacular matches, but in my opinion, Rob Van Dam had some great matches too, and he's not on there. So AJ Styles, I was a huge AJ Styles fan growing up. He was the only reason I really watched TNA other than Kurt Angle. We'll get to that later. So those are two guys I wanted to have as honorable mentions. So here is my list. Okay, so this is showing up backwards, but I'll go from top to bottom. 4 and 5 on here, I'm going to admit are biased. Like, I did not put these on here. I did the general population. So number 5 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. The only reason he's on here, he was before my time. But the amount of people I see in Stone Cold t-shirts today, and they say that he is the GOAT. Like, I remember it was a group of 3 dudes, one Samoan, one black guy, and myself. And I was arguing that The Rock was better than Stone Cold, and both of them looked at me crazy. So that tells you all you need to know. But if I was to put my unbiased top 5, in spot number 5 would be the Animal Batista. And people can be like, Batista? Yes, Batista. Batista was the reason I got into wrestling. From 05 to 08, he was the face of the company. Like, in 05, he couldn't be beat. And people are like, well, John Cena was the face of the company from 06 to 08. No, he was not. People wanted that big gold belt. And when they were both faces, this is before Cena was getting booed drastically. Actually, it was a little bit after. But when Cena was the face of the company in 08, Batista was the face of the company. They faced each other. And Batista bombed him and beat him cleanly. Like, it got me so mad when they booed him for Daniel Bryan, a guy who said that moment wasn't even special to him when he won the championship. So at 5, I got Batista. And then general vote, I got Stone Cold. You cannot deny Stone Cold's contributions. He's a big part of why they won the Monday Night War against WCW. Number 4, I got Undertaker. I mean, what has to be said about Undertaker? Mr. WrestleMania. That undefeated streak will never happen again. The crazy thing about him, and everyone on this list, most wrestlers are lucky if they have 5 good years. The legendary ones, even the legendary ones, have a run of 5 years. This man was on top of the business for over 30 years. The 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. You can even argue the 2010s making it 40 years. But at my number 4, if you unveil the curtain, I have Kurt Angle. The wrestling machine Kurt Angle. I mean, Kurt Angle off the perks was just special. He was I didn't know who AJ Styles was at that point. He was the only reason I would go on and turn on TNA. This man won all the championships in TNA. When Kurt Angle was on, I preferred watching TNA. Let's be for real. Number 3, I got Roman Reigns. Like, Roman Reigns, in my opinion, could be the GOAT. It's just that he's going to Hollywood pretty early, and they're not pushing him anymore towards the world title. His time is kind of ended. He said he's not that guy anymore. But that run of 3 years when he held the titles, that does not happen in an era where I've been alive. He was the one who brought the stock price all the way up. He was the one in the eras that I've been watching wrestling, especially the PG to the modern era. That was the greatest run I've ever seen. That was the greatest time in the business. So I forgot to mention in honorable mentions Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan in the 80s and 80s was the one who put wrestling on the map. It's just I wasn't alive in the 80s and 90s to watch him wrestle. And another thing is, like, I would go around the house playing his theme song. Like, I would tell my little nephews and nieces, I'd play that song and tell them to go punch the other one. So he was legendary. It's just that, and I don't want to, like, hate on what he's done for the business, because that moment where he slammed Andre the Giant was absolutely legendary now that I'm older and can realize it. However, the one thing I want to say is I grew up watching Big Show. Big Show was a better athlete than Andre the Giant, and he weighed 500 pounds. I saw John Cena put him on the shoulders. I saw Batista's spine buster him, so honorable mention. So at the same token, you're like, well, if you said he was before your time, why is Ric Flair on there? Ric Flair is still relevant to this day. I still want a Ric Flair rope. People ask me, why do you go and dress up in public? It's because of Ric Flair. Whoa, Ric Flair. Like, and people will be like, let's talk about Ric Flair. In his day, in the 70s and 80s, this man was putting on 60-minute matches, some of the best matches you ever seen with Ricky Steamboat and guys like that. This man was in the Royal Rumble and lasted an hour in times where people didn't even last 20. Not to mention, he on a verse with Kendrick Lamar, Dom Kennedy, Ric Flair had the hardest verse by far. And people say, well, you say you didn't want to mention Hulk Hogan because he's not part of your time. Ric Flair was part of my time. I saw him with Batista and Randy Orton. I saw him wrestle Shawn Michaels, and he looked, I think it was like 60 or 50. He looked 60 at the time, at least, and put on one of the best matches in his retirement matches. And then people like, well, he ruined his legacy in TNA. Yeah, TNA didn't treat him the best, but hey, I will still remember him and Jay Lethal. That was hilarious to me. And then this one's going to be controversial, and I don't mind switching the top three in and out. I have The Rock at number 1. Let's talk about it. Rock, I didn't get to see Rock until he left and came back for Hollywood. But I've watched the YouTube clips. This man beat Stone Cold at WrestleMania. This man beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. This man beat John Cena at WrestleMania. The 3 biggest faces of the company. He beat all 3 of them cleanly at a WrestleMania. Not to mention the electricity when he enters the arena. In my opinion, the greatest on the mic. People like to downplay his wrestling skills, but he still puts on very good matches. And his IQ, I would argue, is the highest in the history of wrestling. You look at when he was wrestling Hulk Hogan, as soon as the fans started booing him, he played the heel. And that's one reason I always respected The Rock. As soon as the fans booed him, he said, sing along is over, and turned heel. In that one instance, he played the heel for the rest of that match. People like to say, well, he was getting booed. No, he was only getting booed during that match. He wasn't booed until the lineup. He got booed in Toronto. But let me know, what you guys think of my top 5 if you stuck around that long.